All right, so we heard the news that Chevy is replacing its V8 lineup for bigger and better and most likely faster engines. But a new Patton's image, the 2027 Chevy Silverado has been revealed. We're going to get into it. We're going to share all the images. We're going to talk about the article, and let's get cracking. Boys and girls, if you guys are rocking with the content, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe for your boys. So let's get rocking. This is the car scoop article, and it says, here's the 2027 Chevy Silverado before you're supposed to see it, and I urge you to stick to the end of the video. First image we get right away is this pattern image right here. One of the biggest things we see is those two oval next to the grills, which if we look at the render picture, which I'll tell you something right now, this render picture is exactly what this truck is going to look like. You know, now in today's day and age, they're doing these renders on point with what it looks like. And especially if you have a pattern like this, you got it down packed. Those big ovals in the front, or the headlights, you got the LEDs up top. All right, boys, this video is sponsored by CarLock. Let me tell you something. If you're a car guy like me, if you love modding your vehicle and buying those expensive parts, make sure that the first part or that first mod you do to your vehicle is the CarLock real-time GPS system. And I'm going to tell you something right now. You think you're going to take your vehicle somewhere, you're going to park it, you're going to lock the doors and walk away. Well, think again, because around 850,000 vehicles get stolen every year in America. That's about one vehicle every 37 seconds. And the recovery rate is less than 1 out of 3. And with CarLock, you actually get that peace of mind. This is the first mod I have ever done and will ever do to any vehicle I purchase from now on. CarLock has been a sponsor of the channel for quite some time. And let me tell you about some of the benefits that CarLock brings. Tamper and monitoring alerts. If anybody turns on the engine, if anybody moves the vehicle, if anybody opens the windows or opens the door or actually disconnect the system, which is the biggest questions everyone gets. What happens when you disconnect the system? Well, you're going to get a motion and you're going to get an alert like the one you see on the screen here. Now, if you want to find out more info on CarLock, if you want a 14-day trial, if you want a discount, make sure you use my codes Javi Vibes, and all the links are on the description below. Let's continue. It changes, but not a lot. It does borrow a little bit from other vehicles, but next to the grill, you see those big two oval headlights, which I don't know how I feel about that, but I think it looks pretty cool. The article says the design of the 2027 Chevy Silverado has been revealed in patents. The truck will sport a evolutionary. Sorry, the letters are so small. Truck will sport. You know, sometimes, let me put a pause. Sometimes whoever writes these articles from Car Scoop or Motor Trend are just wilding out. The truck will sport an evolutionary look that borrows from the Traverse, not truck will sport. We can expect new engines, new V8 engines, which could displace the 5.7 and the 6.6 liter. We might even get a supercharged one, which that would be pretty cool. There are actually some engines that are mystery. It says, the Chevy Silverado is one of the best-selling vehicles in America by far, for sure. As consumers snapped up 560,000 units last year, including 358,000 Silverados 1500. However, the current model is getting old, and it was introduced back in 2019, and it hasn't seen a significant update since 2022, and they're not wrong on that. That being said, Chevrolet has been working on a new redesigned truck for a while, and spy photographers have caught the 2027 Silverado 1500 on multiple occasions. While those prototypes have been heavily disguised, the final look has been revealed in the United States design patent. Originally underneath by Car and Driver, the truck's design is being credited to Tyler Moffett. While the name might not ring a bell, he's worked on countless Chevrolet trucks, SUVs, including the Colorado, Silverado, Traverse, Tahoe, and Suburban. And as a result, finding his name on the patent is as surprising as finding sand at the beach. So obviously what we're looking at here is exactly what we're going to get. That's why I say these renders are 100% truth. And this is just a render here. It looks, you know, you get it exactly how you see the picture, not a render. This is the pattern, exactly how you see in the pictures. So it says, moving further back, there's a streamlined bodywork and what appears to be a heavily stylized front fenders. They're joined by a familiar greenhouse and an irregular accent above the rear wheels. The rear end is pretty evolutionary as there's a cap-mounted spoiler and a small sliding rear window. We can also see new taillights that swaps Chevrolet lettering for a body emblem. Not bad, to be honest. Elsewhere, there are new taillights that vaguely recall those on the ill-fated Ford F-150 Lightning, which is almost out the door, and I already did a video on that. They're accompanied by a revamped bumper which features wider and more practical footsteps. We can't tell much about the tailgates from the image, but we can expect an updated version of the company's multi-flex design. The current version offers a 6-setting ranging from step to a low stop, This is the render right here, and it obviously looks really cool. Look, I'll be honest with you, it does look pretty cool. The truck is really nice. I don't really know how I feel about those big headlights like that there, but all the way in the bottom, kind of like in the middle, but it significantly looks pretty good. It says Chevrolet has been tight-lipped about the upcoming pickup, but the company is pouring millions into their new next generation V8 engines. The automaker has been coy on specific, but has previously said that the next generation of engines is expected to deliver strong performance and better fuel economy and reduce emissions. The company also teases new combustion and thermal management innovations that will aid those improvements. The new V8s are expected to replace the current 5.3, 6.2 that produces around 355 horsepower, while the latter develops 420. The rest of the engine lineup is a mystery, but we could obviously, as the article says here, find probably the same familiar 2.7 4-cylinder turbocharged and the 3.0 liter diesel engine that comes in it. So look, boys and girls, this is pretty cool. The 2027 Silverado has been revealed. Thanks to the patents, they're able to do a render, and is exactly what you're gonna get on that truck. Maybe a few changes here and there, but it's exactly what's happening. Look, I think there's a good future for Chevrolet for sure, with the new replacements of the V8 engines and a new redesigned Silverado, just to bump up even more of those sales. It's insane that more than 500,000 Silverados get sold yearly. That is insane. Anyways, boys and girls, quick, short little video here. Remember to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe for your boy. I'll see you on the next one.